Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's Record Review, the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who will soon be joined by his co-host, Goat, my occasional co-host. Completely unrelated, I've been waiting for the new Melanie Martinez'z EP to come out for quite some time. And by I've been waiting, I mean my daughter has been waiting. She has been telling me basically every week, Melanie Martinez'z is going to come out with something new. I'm like, great, I'll review it when it comes out. She's going to come out with something new. Great. This morning, Friday morning, beautiful, last day of school. We call it the Yabba Dabba Doo Day. I get there and I wake her up by playing the first notes of the album, the song Notebook. And this is the thing, Melanie Martinez'z I would never have listened to in the first place if my daughter weren't so insistent that she was good. And my daughter has good taste in music and often challenges me, especially in the area of like pop, pop and emo, which Melanie Martinez'z is somehow both. If you're a Melanie Martinez'z fan, how does she do that? How is she both emo and pop? I would ask Goat, but I think Goat would be upset if I asked that question. But I came to not only like the album, and you can see my review of it up there. I think it's a pretty good review of K through 12, her previous full-length album. But in the ensuing months, my daughter keeps listening to the record, like she has it on her constant rotation. And if we ever say, hey, do you want to listen to something? She'll often play this. And each time I appreciate it more. And the one thing about this after school EP, the thing that it does is that it actually, I like it on its own, but it really highlights how strong K through 12 is. That's my daughter's copy of the record. K through 12 is a special record. I don't think it's as good as Billie Eilish's record, but I believe it deserves to be considered in the same breath. It's very similar. It's like a very unified stylistically album with one singer, with one producer, maybe two, but basically one producer putting forth an idea, putting out thoughts about what it is to be a young woman, the problems of young womanhood, the issues facing young womanhood in a way that's approachable, is a little bit edgy, but is ultimately comforting to parents like me who would be perfectly fine if their daughters ended up like Billie Eilish or Melanie Martinez'z. Listening to this EP just made me go, oh man, I love K through 12. I love K through 12. And it's funny because this EP is called After School, which makes it a kind of unofficial sequel, but it's an EP, so it's very clear. It's almost like a PS at the end of it. And it's just a real, true continuation of K through 12. And I don't mean that like it's banal. I mean like it's excellent in that way. The one thing I would say is that there's a extremely unified style, which took me a while to break down. I think it can be described primarily by a certain intentional childishness to the production. And you hear that particularly in her voice, which is often childish or sounds kind of breathy, but also in the way that the music is made. Usually the notes are staccato. So it's not like a lot of long drawn out notes. There's not a lot of like waka 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 breakdowns, but they're very kind of staccato notes, which either sound like they're played on xylophone or could easily be played on xylophone if you so chose. Does that make sense? And also her singing. Just her singing is essential to it. It's deceptively good. And I'm going to go into it at times where I'm just really quite shocked at how good it is. And it's sometimes childish and then sometimes a little bit like devilish and knowing. And it's a nice mixture. I love the school metaphor that she's used. And the reason that I love the school metaphor is that it's very flexible. So it can receive a lot of ideas. So on the last album, when she talked about drama club or going to the nurse or whatever, it always was about something else, something bigger. She chose a central metaphor that was so flexible that it was kind of a cute album where she's like, wheels on the bus, whatever. But at the same time, it was able to be much larger and about much more. And this album, on a smaller scale, is able to continue that. However, this does also, I believe, represent a transition. I don't know. I don't follow Melanie Martinez'z on Instagram or Instacart or any Instas. Goat does. Maybe Goat can tell me about this. But if you look at it, it looks from the cover that it's going to be a big, we have her and she's decapitated and it says after school and still those bright colors, but we're getting the sense maybe this is going to be super edgy. I don't think it is. This feels like it's sort of like a goodbye to this. And we'll see maybe where it's going. But I don't think this macabre cover is actually an accurate representation of the music in there. So let me get through track by track and talk about why it's great before we get Goat on here. Goat is currently in school. Goat school. What subject do Put in the comments, what subjects do goats like in middle school? I don't know. Okay, Notebook, first track. You know, starting immediately with this school theme, and it's a great way to do it because the whole theme of the song is to an ex-lover or soon-to-be ex-lover saying, I hope you took notes because you're gonna have to do better with your next girlfriend because it's not gonna work with me. Totally fine, perfectly fine subject for a pop song. Very nice, simple pop melody. Again, there's very nice staccato notes. It does get a little bit darker when she talks about how she sacrificed blood for you. Every once in a while on this album, there's little tones. And then we get to the track Test Me, which is where I think this album might be going somewhere else and might be hinting at something else or maybe a future direction. There is a spiritual and existential feeling and sometimes dread to this whole album. There is a sort of theme of blood and death and sort of things outside of our control, which I didn't recognize as much on K through 12, which really felt more just like a, how do I deal with my life? Let's put it in the song. So Test Me is like a waltz, which is nice. At times it sounds a little bit like a Harry Potter, techno remix. But the whole song is about like not being mortal. About being mortal. Like I'm mortal and test me. So this is kind of weird, She's an interesting lyricist. This whole track is quite interesting. I'm gonna read the chorus. Maybe this is how she can pull off being pop and goth at the same time. I'm mortal, oh, oh, oh. Defected by this form, oh, oh, oh. So I'd rather be tested by goddesses, resting their heads upon the pillows of all they have learned. So really weird, just like defected by the form and dealing with their own mortality. And I think it's a strong track. As a matter of fact, that's the track I'm going to play for you as an example of some of the best things on this album. I'm going to play 14 seconds of it for you right now.
Defected by this form, so I'd rather be tested by goddesses resting their heads.
Then we get to the next track, Brain and Heart, which continues this spiritual or spiritually questioning nature of this album. According to Lyric Genius, there was an interview with her where she said these were her favorite lyrics, and that makes sense given the context of the whole EP. The lyrics here, it seems like the song is just an excuse for the lyrics. And I mean that in a good way, because how often do pop singers really come up with lyrics where you get the sense that that's what's doing most of the work? Usually the production does most of the work, and then the singing, and then the songwriting, and then the lyrics. Maybe not quite in that order, but lyrics rarely push a pop song forward. In this song, they really do. There's some nice drum sounds on here, kind of like incidental knocks. I think real xylophone here. And at one point she says, give me an A+ if I'm doing this right, which feels like a forced attempt to keep it in this school template, the school after school template. But I don't mind. Why not? It's just one line. So here's this mind-spirit division. Let me read this seriously, okay? Because in the song, it's all singing. It's all her breathy singing with these little notes. When did humans start to separate brain and heart? As if they could stay alive alone, flip it around the other way, if they were apart. And you had no powers, start on no database, only a shell remains. So, interesting question, dividing the human being into brain and heart. Willie Nelson wrote the best songs about dividing body parts. Metonymically, this is a metonym, not a metaphor, where a part is replaced by a whole, synecdoche, it's a whole school here. So the idea of brain representing intellect, heart representing feeling. And this seems to be about feeling, but it's doing it in a very intelligent way. So another really strong track. Basically every track here is good. The next track might be my least favorite. It's kind of like a throwdown song. She gets a little bit nasal. And here, there's, as far as I can tell, no connection to the school theme, except it's called Numbers, and you learn about numbers. And she talks about her record label or the industry as being teachings. But this whole song is against the record industry, against the label. Even though I don't love this song compared to the rest, some of the most interesting vocal work is here. She goes a lot of kind of high to low in the chorus. She really goes around a lot of different places when she sings. Lots of range, but does it without a lot of flash. It seems as though this is one of what I would argue is two songs that are staunchly anti-capitalist, or at least lamenting your position in capitalist society, acknowledging your role as just a cog in a machine who's designed to make product, and that product can be purchased to make money for other people, because Melanie Martinez'z does not truly own the means of her production. They're owned by, let's take a guess, Universal Music Group? I'm just going to guess Universal. You can correct me in the comments if you're wrong. So there is a great line in here where she refers to being, she says, drink me like soda. And this is great, like referring to your own artistic, wait, I'm talking myself into loving this song. Referring to yourself as an artist as like soda. You know, we're all soda. Anyone who makes anything to be consumed, to make someone else money, you're being drunk like soda. It's maybe a little bit too like empowerment anthem. Why should I conform to formulated pasts when clearly all my instincts led to something more magical? I don't know if Melanie Martinez'z needs to say that what she does is magical. It is. I mean, good music is magical, especially when it has a powerful impact on people. I imagine that my daughter finds her music to be magical, but still saying you're magical. This song almost overstays its welcome. It seems to be the longest song. It feels like the longest song on the album. But then she starts asking this question over and over again. Am I just a number? Over and over again. But in the very kind of modern Charlie XCX, 1,000 gecs, 100 gecs, who cares how many gecs? A lot of gecs. A lot of gecs. The whole kind of like experimental pop thing makes its appearance just in one place on the whole album. It's just her saying, am I just a number? And I like this style. I like when it's done well, and it works here. The whole thing reeks a little bit of the kind of pretentiousness of youth and just like the rebelliousness of young people who haven't given up the fact that they're just cogs in a machine. Because when you get to be my age, you're just like, yep. No? Yep. I'm a cog in a machine. Like they replaced their search of knowledge with the reach for many material gains. Not her best lyrics, right? Like you can sit, this is the thing that maybe she does not as well lyrically, that maybe she will come to do in time with more experience. I don't know, that's condescending. But like, at times she's a little too much on the nose. That's why like Drink Me Like a Soda is a great lyric, whereas I Am Magical, or they replace their search for knowledge with the reach of material gains, comes across not great. The next track I was unsure about, because it's a ballad, and I generally don't like ballads, but you need some kind of mix up here. They can't all be kind of up-tempo, but it's really quite nice. And here, I think I enjoy her vocals the most on this song. I think if you're curious to hear what I'm talking about with her range of vocals, just the kind of sliding up and down all over the place, different kind of affect, like a little bit harsh, a little bit soft, and a lot of charisma. She really does have a lot of charisma to her voice. The whole rhythm, it has kind of like a tick-tock rhythm, like a clock, not tick-tock like the, whatever, the Chinese deal. Could I sound older? The Chinese deal. That's how I referred to the social media platform TikTok, the Chinese deal. My daughter's gonna watch this video and gonna go, Dad, why did you call TikTok the Chinese deal? But TikTok rhythm in this song, like, and her up and down singing matches that quite nicely. And the whole song is about the nature of attachment and detachment. She does write about adult relationships very well, and it feels to me like a lot of her lyrics come from the position of somebody who's done a lot of effective therapy, or who's read a lot of interesting self-help books, good self-help books that have helped her be more realized. She talks about, and this is a quote, patterns that I picked up from the environment since a baby. Cut the negatives of talking, cut out my procrastination. So she's just sort of talking about these feelings that she has and like how she can combat the sins of her parents. And it's an interesting idea. So I was saying how she's all smart and stuff. And then we get to the track Field Trip. Okay, so this is the deal. Nothing turns my brain off quicker. Nothing makes me go, I can't take this person seriously, quicker than astrology. Like, I just reviewed B.O.B. last week, and that dude believes in a flat earth. And if he had a whole song about the flat earth, I would find that easier to listen to than someone talking about their astrological signs and what it means. Temptation, for for Old Man Payne, Mr. Serious Professor Dude, is to just say, screw it. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to dismiss it. But part of this channel is not dismissing things. We should stop dismissing things. Deal with them, and then decide you don't like them. I actually ended up liking this song despite the premise that it's built on, where she talks about herself being on like the 11th level of consciousness. Almost sounds like Scientology at times. But she manages to make it interesting because it's a little bit, it seems like at times she's kind of making fun of herself. She has like this lyric that's interesting. You always say you're woke, it's your aesthetic. So there she's putting into question the nature of wokeness and how much of it is just virtue signaling or whatever. But is your empathy actually authentic? Is it? So I will maintain my hard Mr. Professor guy position that astrology is stupid and that people who believe in astrology are believing in something stupid. But asking if your empathy is authentic, that's a meaningful question. That's actually a question that needs to be asked right now. I would say that needs to be asked in equal measure as all of the social justice movements are being pushed out. I think we need to be asking how authentic is our empathy and what form does that empathy take? So congratulations, Melanie Martinez'z. You made a smart song that is also about astrology. And also maybe she's laughing at herself there. But then we get these lyrics trying to bring the mystical into the material. Bitch, I'm an 11 life path, I'm ethereal. I'm the definition of dichotomy, duality. That is the definition. Katerina in the womb for 9 months till she birthed me. I guess she had a different name before she was born. I don't know. True story. You know, before Goat was born, her name was Monkey. Look at her. She is a bridge, and on her bridge, I take a shit, F you up, and get lit, okay, let's get deep. If not, I'll dip. So, okay, so she wants to get deep. And apparently she considers getting deep, talking about being an empath or all that kind of gobbledygook. It's fine. And it all ties together with the school thing because she's talking about riding solo on her field trip. Again, it's a little bit pushed. This metaphor is pushed a little bit far in this song, which is why my theory, I don't know if it's true. If you're a Melanie Martinez'z fan, I don't know what you call yourself. School kids? Schoolboys, schoolgirls, doesn't matter. I think she's going somewhere new. And I think she's going somewhere new. And if I had to predict, her next album is going to be based on a town center. Because this next track is called Bakery. And so I'm thinking she could have a song Bakery and have it be about this, like her old job, and also about, again, being a producer of music and a cog in a machine. And then you have a song like Firehouse or something about like an emergency that you have to respond to. You can have like a little supermarket song. You can have an antique store. You know, like I could just see this working, and this song could be the beginning of it. And this is the only track not produced by Keenan. It's produced by someone else. I forgot to write down their name. But it's still good and still in keeping with the rest of the album in terms of the theme. So I feel like this is the end of the K-12 project, the beginning of, I hope, the Town Hall project. I mean, the Town Center project, because I think she could do the same kind of vast scale commentary with little micro metaphors. According to Genius, you know, according to the web, this song is about her job at a bakery. But I don't think so. I think this is a follow-up to Numbers. I think this bakery is metaphorical for her producing music and making songs and making them about, you know, like just basically being a worker who's just making things. In the bakery, trying to make some more. They expect me to stay when I should go. Grab the bag for when they cross the door. It ain't me to roll out. It's just for me to raise the dough. So her position as an artist and as a person, as a number, is strictly to make dough for other people, just to make money. I don't know. Maybe it's both. And I think that's why Melanie Martinez'z works, because K through 12 is a song about how much it sucks going to school. It is. I mean, it's an album about how much it sucks going to school. It is. It really works. It really works well. I mean, I'm no longer in K through 12, but I can relate to these feelings, and I see my kids go through this right now. But it's also effective as a larger view of a young woman's life and what she's going through and more universal things that happen to you when you get out of school. And Bakery right here is the same thing. It can be a song about a job, and it can also be a song about life under capitalism. Who knows? Okay, well, I think Goat is almost done, so let's see what Goat, who is a Melanie Martinez'z superfan, thinks of this EP. I have not spoken with her yet. I'm excited to see. Let's find out. Here with Goat to give her review of After School, the EP. What'd you think of the EP, Goat?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah? You weren't disappointed?
I was not disappointed at all. Actually, these songs are kind of different than what she usually does, so I can understand how some people would be disappointed, but I actually really like this EP. Like, if this is the direction that she's going into, then I like this direction.
What do you think is the difference? Like, how is she moving in a different direction?
She's saying, like, her songs, kind of, there's a lot less sound effects, which is
Okay.
really nice.
That's true.
I think it's because it isn't a part of one of the movies that she always releases.
I see.
But, like, for the bakery, the one that she released, there is a lot of sound effects.
Oh, okay. Here's the album, too, that I got for my daughter. It's
That's
pretty
so cool.
Yeah, it's like the thing there. I suppose that has something to do with the album. But anyways, I think you wanted to go track by track in your Pink Citroën, just like I like to do.
Yeah,
So what are you thinking about these tracks?
Well, I think for the first song, which was Notebook, it has, if you've listened to K through 12, it has a lot of the tension kind of feelings.
And I've listened to K through 12 a lot because of my daughter, who loves Melanie Martinez'z. Okay,
really
what
does.
do you think of the next one? Test Me.
Test Me, there's a very different type of vocals. It's a lot more singing, but also, it's really hard to describe, but there's a lot of different types of vocals that I hear a lot throughout this EP, and there's a lot of higher vocal ranges, which I just love that, because...
Yeah, I was saying that too earlier in the review, that she has a lot of great vocal style, but she isn't super flashy. Like, you wouldn't say, like, oh, she's this great, amazing singer, but she really does do really well. And then Brain and Heart, it says here you think it's kind of repetitive.
I think so, but with this kind of song, it's okay, because the lyrics are just amazing, and it's really catchy, so that's probably why it's so repetitive.
And then you can tell here, now, she's just like her Goat owner, that she doesn't have a script, she has notes, just like me, and for some reason, just like on the last video that I did, she put a bacon emojis in my movie. So if you watch the last video I did, I turned into an old man talking about bacon emojis. So it seems like Numbers is really the track that you came here to talk about. What do you think about Numbers, Goat?
I love it. I love the sound effects in the beginning where it's not too much, but it's kind of like a typing sound, which I really like. It's definitely my favorite song, and when the drums come in, it's just amazing, and it kind of comes in like in and out, and the drums are probably the best part of the track. And she goes into the higher range, especially in this song, which is really great. And 3 minutes into the song, because it's kind of a long song, there's kind of a slowdown, and she vocalizes, which is really nice to hear. And there's this line, which is, "Am I just a number?" And that's pretty great because it's kind of like, am I just like, do I just make money for you?
Right.
And so I think that she's definitely expressing that feeling in this great song.
This is really funny because people who are watching this are like, why is the professor repeating himself? I don't control what my goat says. My goat just happens to be saying a lot of the same things I'm saying, which means maybe this is a pretty understandable interpretation of the music. Okay, what do you think about Glued, the next one? I was a little bit hit or miss on Glued.
The sound effects are just like the sound effects that are K through 12, so there's probably going to be a music video coming out.
Okay.
Again, she goes into a higher range, and whenever she goes into a higher range, I like that. And I just like the overall feeling from, like, this song. The chorus is really great. It's a little, and the song is overall a little slower than the others.
Yep.
And it's really, like, calm. And the breakdown in the end, it has some harmonies, and that's just really nice.
That's great. And then looks like you sort of ended with your thoughts on Field Trip. I guess
I have some thoughts for the bakery too.
Okay, too. What's your thoughts about Field Trip? Because I was sort of hit or miss on Field Trip because it's all about like astrology, and I'm not really into astrology, as you know. She doesn't know, but anyways, sometimes people talk about astrology. I kind of roll my eyes.
Aren't you a Virgo?
Yes, I am. It's such a Virgo of me to know that.
Such a Virgo of you.
Yeah.
Anyways, the field trip, I actually really like the vibe, and it does remind me of going on a school field trip and seeing the other like school and then being like, how old are you? Oh, you're only 10? Well, I'm a year older than you. Like, just kind of that, it's really fun, but it's also kind of aggressive.
Huh.
And the lyric, you always say you're woke, it's just your aesthetic. It's really great because it's really true, especially in social media when it comes to world problems. And people are saying that they're like into it and they support it, but they're just doing it for like likes or to be seen as cool.
That's true. I might have mentioned that earlier in the video.
Oh my gosh.
So what's your thoughts on Bakery as we kind of wind up here?
Well, I didn't really expect, Bakery doesn't really have anything to do with the school theme.
Right.
But it was such a great song that I think that, I mean, I wouldn't blame her for just kind of throwing in with the after school.
Well, I already told the auditors here, but my idea, Goat, is that her next thing is going to be called the Town Center, and she's going to talk about different places in the town, and she's going to use that as a way to express her life and emotions.
Maybe.
All right, you heard it here second. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad that Goat liked it, and I get the sense I'm going to be listening to this a lot too.
Oh, yes, you are.
As it comes up on the title playlist. So, all right, well then, for Goat and Toby and Bo, and even for my daughter, I wonder where she is.
I wonder.
She must be upstairs after her voice lesson. Okay, until next time, there's the camera.